Hi, how are you? Zuzana was actually a client of ours, Zuzana and Roy. We're looking for a property about 3 years ago during COVID, moving from London pregnant. And she set up her business here as well with her husband, Roy. Tell us a little bit about your business.
I come from a tech background, but I took a break with the kids. Still back in tech now, as well as renovation business and looking at other potential opportunities and projects.
Tell us a bit about some of the problems you encountered moving here.
The waiting time. You have to be patient. I always say that Portugal is so great and it has such a good wine and beautiful skies because you have to be double patient. You want to get things done. You want to get things moving. There is a gap between the big renovation companies and the really, like we call them Joe with the van, and people that come and do and fix your house. There is a place for those that want to deliver really good work and make house beautiful on time and on budget.
Now that prices have gone up, how are you giving your client a price of today, whereby if it goes up by the time they order it, how are you then foreseeing those changes in prices?
We actually sit down, we work with the suppliers, we have a proper technical and design concept with the architect, with the engineer, we measure the house, we understand what are the humidity issues, which are all around us in Quinta Marinha. Full. Like we cannot put our signature at the end until not even that, but it's done properly. We want to make sure that we're sustainable, and by sustainable I mean really utilizing what Portugal has to offer. So just the lights came from Cascais. Like you have artisans, you have artists here, and it's small things like if you just look at the handles of the windows, small change makes a big difference.
People think that what looks pretty is pretty, and very often it's makeup. But so important, that's why we do inspections of all the houses we sell as well. You want to see what's going under it. What are the problems? Are the roots of the trees that are causing infiltration, that are causing the plumbing?
This was all closed. This was all closed. There was all the walls. There was one wall over here, one wall over here. It was a tiny, small kitchen. They had a gas leak, which they didn't even know about. There were so many different bad issues, and we just opened it all up. And the demolition part is fun, because we usually call the client to come and actually do it themselves. So knock the wall party. So that's what they did.
I think some of the issues of some of the Portuguese houses sometimes is that they're made for summer, they're not necessarily made for winter. So then you'll have the issue of infiltrations coming in as well, sometimes mold.
And it's not just that, I think we don't understand how the seasons are changing. And the houses are not ready for it. So it's too hot in summer, too cold in winter, there's no heating system, there are no air conditionings. So it's really, when you buy a house in Portugal, you have to look at everything.
This before was stone.
It was stone,
It was cold, it had the element, you didn't want to come in. This is wood, it's warm, it reminds me if I'm in Scandinavia or something.
100%.
Has that feeling of...
That's the client also bringing their own soul into the house.
You're doing it based on the client.
Yeah, we want to create daydream house and
tailor-made. I like that, tailor-made. Why would you buy opposed to renting, and how does that affect your line of business as well, in terms of having houses that are properly built?
So I think it also depends on what are you staying, are you going? If you're with a family, I think you do ultimately want to have your own home. To start a renovation, people are scared. They are worried that it's going to take too much time and it's going to take a big toll on the family, so they prefer to rent. But renting in Portugal is also interesting. It's a process, and you probably spend a lot of time dealing with issues in the houses. So I do think that if you want to stay, ultimately it's the best way to buy. People do come, they buy a house and they think it's going to be super cheap from there. And it's the education of to tell them, you're investing into your home. You have to think of things, don't just do a makeup. Really think of, as we said, humidity, the weather, also different things.
So number one rule is digging down to the roots and the problem of the house to understand what's the sanity of it, what's it like. That would be the number one thing.
100%.
Assessment. What would you have as number two?
Having a team. And that's why we did it in a way that we are the one contact, but we work with everyone, because it has to happen from the start, so we don't have those delays. So that's number two.
Number three, what would be number three golden rule?
So number three, I think from my perspective and what we see is the transparency and accountability, that you can really follow up with the company, that you understand what is going on and you have a peace of mind. Because ultimately it will make the experience good, and you will so be excited to move into your home and the relationship will stay after, because you will need the construction, you will need the renovation partner, you will need the team to come, and there will be questions after, so you don't want to break this relationship.
That's your word, and you're only as good as your word. So.
100%.
Such a beautiful house. I'm so impressed, and it's really nice because it's the first time that I'm seeing this as well, and the work's incredible. Well, I knew that.
Thank
but,
you.
Really well done.
It's actually nice to, yeah, but even on a rainy day,
cozy.
this is one of the houses that you want to be sitting in, because it's very cozy and you would just want to make a cup of tea.
I know.
And not move.
Or something. Thank you, my dear.